Welcome in live from the county seat in downtown Lillington. This is Camel Call Live. We've got a great show for you tonight. It is a baseball takeover as our, count 'em, 5-time defending champion Camels begin the season at home this weekend. And what an opening series. Your Camels host 17th-ranked UC Santa Barbara as the Gauchos come down for a 3-game series. It starts this Friday night at 5 p.m., followed by a Saturday game at 3 and a Sunday, this just in, breaking news, a noon matinee tilt. So noon on Sunday now. Season tickets are still available. Single-game tickets are still available at GoCamels.com and 1-877-GO-HUMPS, 1-877-GO-HUMPS. Tonight, we will also give away tickets to all 3 games of the series, and we'll talk to all 3 of our assistant coaches tonight as we start with a familiar face and I think a 3-timer on the show now. So Jordan Stampler, he is now the assistant coach as well as the director of player development. And Coach, first of all, a big congratulations. You have been here since August of 2020, and in the offseason, you're promoted to assistant coach, adding to your title. What does that mean to you that coach here in this program elevated you in your role now?
Yeah, I mean, Chris, thanks for putting this together, County Seat. Thank you guys for having us and hosting this. This is really cool for us to be able to kind of continue and spread the good word about Campbell Baseball and what the season has to offer. 4 years ago was an opportunity for me, Chris. I couldn't thank Coach Hare enough for the past 3 seasons and years that we've had together with some amazing players and coaches that I've had the opportunity to work with, learn from, grow with. And I think all in that, just kind of taking it in stride, I think Coach Hare and the rest of our staff, as players included, have continued to trust me in some of my processes and things that I've worked through to get to where I am. And I think continuing to kind of just lean into that and move forward and take on more roles and responsibilities, I think is always a cool endeavor. So I'm very appreciative of it, looking forward to it, and can't wait to get the year started.
So many things are unbelievable. The fact that there's been 10 total trophies Campbell Baseball could win when you talk about the regular season and the conference tournament. You guys have won 9 of those trophies, going to the NCAA tournament for a program record 5 times. You came right in the middle of it, and people sometimes forget that in the middle of that was the shortened 2020 season, was COVID. There was a lot to deal with. You came in kind of in the middle of that whole thing. What did it take to not let COVID and everything that happened kind of shake this program? And you guys really picked up where you left off.
Yeah, I mean, my last season where I came from at Pfeiffer University was kind of, obviously, like you had mentioned, abbreviated. There was a lot of shuffling pieces, a lot of job changes, a lot of people who didn't have jobs anymore and got laid off. The role came open and I applied for it and got the job. I think right around July 4th, going into that 2021 spring, prior fall was 2020. When I got to Campbell, it had seemed like everything was great. There was really good processes put in place. There was really good people here to work with. There wasn't a lot that I immediately had to just come and try to impact. And I felt like I could find myself a little niche here and dive into some stuff here or there, and I felt like I was just available to whatever I needed to be available for, whether that be, alongside the head coach or working with the offense or trying to implement something base running wise or whatever the case may be. But there was a phenomenal system and leadership and just an unbelievable group of players. I think that's the other thing. We had a bunch of guys who wanted to come back for that COVID year, relief year that the NCAA granted some of those guys. And, a lot of them stuck around. I think we saw, the maturity and experience of our team kind of come to fruition for my first year. In hindsight, it was an unbelievable blessing to get to work with some of those guys and see some of those young players like Neto, at the time come into his own. And we had some really, really talented guys that year. And for me, it was kind of just like, in hindsight, again, I didn't really know the pace of everything and how everything worked. But in hindsight, looking back on it, it was just an unbelievable blessing to kind of be able to walk into a program in such good hands.
Well, in an unbelievable year, you go into SEC country, go to Mississippi State as a number 3 seed, end up in the regional final, going back to the NCAA in your second year, and then you think, wow, this program, this is where this program is at. It can't get any better than this, right? And then last year, a team that's in the top 15 in the nation for the majority of the year, getting a number 2 seed. We won't dwell on the past, but you guys had the RPI, you guys had the record, the strength of schedule, should have hosted a regional, did not. But then you get to another regional final. NC State is eliminated by you guys as an ACC team. I know you are very much focused on 2024, but when you think about what you all accomplished last year, what's on the top of your mind?
The top of my mind is good players, Chris. Right? Like you don't do much without those, those 35, 40 guys in the clubhouse. A roster littered with talent from arms, bats, role players, glue guys, and everything in between. And I think that's what it takes to be a really competitive program year after year after year. Is not just the top end talent, not just the top end arms, but the glue guys, the guys that are willing to do something a little bit different. And not be the guys who get all the glory, so to speak. I think you need all those types of guys. I think of Ty Babin and Waldy Arias, some names of the past who maybe didn't get all the limelight, so to speak, but guys that you don't win 40 games year after year without. And the guys like Spencer Packard and Zach Neto and Tom Harrington and Cade Keeler, who obviously are all frontline names. You don't do it without those guys either. But on top of that, just I think the preparation, the work, the constant day after day after day of just Coach Hare talks about it all the time. And I think looking into the 2024 season, the preparation that our team has had throughout the course of the fall, here in the early spring, of just stacking good days. And that's not something we mention all the time, just continuing to stack good day after good day after good day and continue to look, for the practice within the practice, so to speak. How can I improve individually? How can our staff improve individually to collectively make our team better? And I think when we look at it that way, we could stack good day after good day after good day and look up, in a week or a month and really see some progression. And I think that's kind of what we've done over the past, 2, 3, 4 years since I've been here.
One of the many great things about this team, not only are there the team accolades, you guys going to 5 straight NCAA regionals, making it to 3 regional finals, ranked in the top 15, but those guys that you mentioned that are making good money playing pro ball, Zach Neto at the head of the class, a first-round draft pick who's the starting shortstop for the Angels, but the guys like Keeler that are going to be up there pretty soon, Harrington that are going to be up there pretty soon. These were not guys that were pro prospects coming right out of high school. What do you all do that develops these guys into guys that are good talent, that are good college players, but making them into guys that are pros?
I think you'd probably get a better answer from them. I think their work ethic, their attention to detail, their willingness to kind of come and pour it in every single day is the answer. There's no secret sauce or recipe. When you think about Neto, you could probably ask Adam Better, who worked with him, Adam's first go around here at Campbell as a coach. The guys on the backfield every day getting extra ground balls or in the cage extra with somebody hitting more. Tommy and Keeler were guys who tried to master their craft. And, on the mound, whether it was T-Rob or Dusty here in the offseason, like they're guys that they spend countless hours on trying to really perfect what they're doing. I think about a guy like Aaron Rund, who was kind of undersought out of high school, didn't really get a huge chance his first year in junior college, kind of continued to develop on his own at the junior college level, comes here as kind of an under-the-radar guy, works his way into a Sunday role, and then he's an All-American back-end bullpen guy alongside Ty Cummings, right? So I think about guys like that and their process to develop. I think the coaching and development piece that we try to pour into them every single day has a lot to do with it. But I also think, at the forefront, at the apex of all of it is like their willingness to just try to be the best they can, right? Just try to pour it in every single day to see how good they can become, today. And if they can do that day after day after day, they can play this game for a long time.
Going into last year, Campbell was already a national baseball brand, and that's because of not only you all getting to the regionals, but getting number 3 seeds, getting number 2 seeds, and then winning games in the regionals. But it's interesting what that little number by your name does. I have people that know that I've been calling Campbell Baseball for a while, but people would come out of the woodwork and be like, my gosh, Campbell Baseball is number 12 in the country. Campbell Baseball is number 9 in the country. You see it on the bottom line all the time. What have you noticed, either out on the recruiting trail, talking to guys in the locker room when you all not only were in the top 20, but in the top 20 for the majority of the season?
Chris, to be honest, last year, it was for me at least, there were some uncharted waters. I think the vibe of our clubhouse, we kind of felt that a little bit. Not many guys talked about it. Not many knew how to handle it, and part of that, was there was some blissful ignorance, if you will, in that for sure. We just didn't, we were just playing.
Yep.
The guys were just going out there playing. We got back from a series at Longwood where we lost the Saturday game there, and we had a meeting in the clubhouse. We had been top 20, for a few weeks leading into that. We lose the game to Longwood there. We thought it was a bad loss, and our RPI didn't drop much. And, I remember our staff meeting for like 2 hours that day in the conference room just talking about what the opportunity presents itself with right now. I don't know if our guys understand the ramifications, and this is one of those things that 10, 15, 20 years from now, they might be like, well, what if? Right? And we didn't want them to have that what if conversation 10, 15, or 20 years from now. Like, we wanted them to understand that, like, they're literally living it right now. And, me as a guy who played in college and, thought he was on some pretty good teams, of course, we all have those what if moments down the road, but they were literally living the dream. And I think we just brought it to their attention. I think Coach Hare used the term like the pink elephant in the room type of thing, and it was a real thing. And it was on our video board pregame every game last year. Like, the pressure is a privilege. Like, you want to have that target on your back a little bit. You want to run to that. And I think our guys took that on. We played in some big games late against some quote-unquote brand-name teams, and, we go down to ECU, and it's one of the most electric college baseball atmospheres in the country, and there's 3,500 fans there, and, we're both top 15 nationally, looking at a host potentially, and it's an unbelievable game with a lot on the line, and I think our guys, they went toe-to-toe and obviously took all three from them. But yeah, it was an incredible ride, an incredible team, an incredible group of guys, coaches, players, support staff, everything included. Just an incredible experience.
As what often happens to top 15 ranked teams in the nation is you have some coaches that go some other places, that get some quote-unquote promotions. You have a lot of shuffling around. For 4 new coaches on this staff, new positions. Tell me about the 2 that we're going to talk to a little bit later on the show and how you guys are all gelling.
Tremendously, yeah. I think, and Coach Hare talks about this all the time, but you hire good people, and the good people are able to work with each other. And Adam and Dusty specifically, who are here, and you guys will talk to as well, have fit in, tremendously immediately with our program. And I think that's first and foremost. Like, are we gonna gel well, like you mentioned? Are we gonna get together, off the field? Dusty hosted basically. Dusty and his wife Malia, their 2 kids, Nolan and Yates here. They hosted everybody at their house last night for a Super Bowl get together. So. Just being able to do those things and have some camaraderie off the field, I think, is super important. They bring those to us. I coached with Adam at 2 different junctures, I guess, prior to this go around. I worked with him at Pfeiffer. He was fresh out of college, and then we worked together back at Campbell and in his graduate assistant work here, and my first year here. So we've had a lot of coaching experience together. We go toe to toe on almost anything you could possibly imagine, and usually come out with a pretty good understanding of what each other wants out of any given situation. But yeah, I think our staff is well glued together. In regards to players, we've had some turnover, and we like we were talking about before the show. We feel like we've got a ton of good pieces and a bunch of talent. Finding the right pieces in the right situations to plug guys in. I think it might take some time, but I think we definitely have enough on the roster to get it done.
Lawson Harrell and Grant Knipp are 2 of your all-conference type, of course, 1 preseason All-American as well, guys that are going to come back. Who are maybe some new names that are going to maybe jump off the page when you take on a top 20 team this weekend?
You want to save the pitching guys for our pitching guy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I meant position player hitting-wise, of course.
Yeah, there's exciting guys kind of all up and down the roster. I think we could expect more out of Trenton Harris this year. He's a guy who started a little bit for us last year, and I think he's kind of grown into his own. He's shown the ability to handle more and more load. He's a familiar name, but he's going to be more of an everyday guy for us this year, kind of the same with Chandler Riley, I would think. Braden O'Shaughnessy is a new guy, transferred from Youngstown State. He's shown real progression and development throughout the fall and spring. He should play a fair amount for us and be a real quality guy in the mix each and every day. Max Weller's another guy. I think there's some really exciting young guys. Peyton Bonds is one that I would definitely keep an eye on. Joe Simpson and Reed Stallman, both junior college transfers who should provide some thump there in the middle of our order. So there's more than enough pieces. I think Peyton Howard might be one of the most electric players in the country.
No doubt.
He should be, he should be a 40 stolen base guy and a guy who could hit for a high average and probably slug more than you would think for a guy who's going to steal that amount of bags. We have an extremely electric offense. I think we have the ability to offense in a multitude of different ways, whether it be hitting the long ball, which the Camels have traditionally done, or stealing and playing old school, quote unquote, old school baseball. I think we have the ability to offense in a bunch of different ways, and I think that leads for a lot of exciting home halves at JPS this year.
No doubt. And speaking of, as has been tradition in this half decade of dominance for Campbell Baseball, you all challenge yourself in the non-conference part of the season, not only the midweek, but also starting the year. You're starting the year against a top 20 team. You're going to need that offense against UC Santa Barbara. They have, at least on paper, one of the best pitching rotations in the entire country. Tell me what you guys know about the Gauchos and what you're going to have to do to win this series this weekend.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're going to be unbelievably competitive. I think they're going to be a team that pitches it and picks it and plays, real baseball for 27 innings. And I think we're going to have to play clean. I think we're going to have to play in the moment and not let it get too big. And I think if we do that, and I think, I think a lot about this. Like, they're number 17 ranked in the country. We played against South Carolina last year, or ECU. I think we're at our best when we're worried about ourselves, right? And if we can control our own emotions and we can dictate the situation how we want it to manifest itself, instead of worrying about our opponents so much. Like, they have good players, man. But you know what? So do we. And I think if we focus more on ourselves more than anything else and control what we're capable of controlling, we'll be in a good spot at the end of the weekend.
Finally, I know they didn't make it out here tonight because it's near bedtime, but tell me about your wonderful family and how are the little ones doing?
A handful, Chris. That's how they're doing. They're always fun to be around. I don't know how my wife does it. God bless her. She's at home right now, probably getting ready for bed. Hopefully they're listening, and if they are, after my segment here, it's time to get in the shower and hit the sack. But yeah, Leonardo just turned 3 in January. He'll be at all the games, probably chasing foul balls and hopefully staying out of trouble. Nikolai can't seem to stay out of trouble. He's 18 months, and yeah, I mean, he's always injured, so can't stay out of trouble. But love him to death, and they'll be at a ton of games this spring.
Well, thank you so much. Jordan Stampler, you'll see him and his entire crew at JPS coming up. Coming up after the break, we'll talk to two of the newly named assistants on this Campbell baseball team as we roll on. It's a baseball takeover from the county seat in downtown Lillington. This is Camel Call Live. Welcome back into Camel Call Live from the county seat in downtown Lillington. If you miss any of the show tonight, if you want to hear it again, we drop this as a podcast in the middle of every week at GoCamels.com on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple iTunes. Not only will the Camels be opening up the season against 17th-ranked UC Santa Barbara at home, they stay at home and on Tuesday play 11th-ranked ECU. East Carolina comes in for their traditional Tuesday on the first week of the season. So make sure you get tickets for that. That one will sell out, and tickets are going fast for those games coming up this weekend. And speaking of, we have a 4-pack of tickets for the season opener, Campbell versus 17th-ranked UC Santa Barbara. So if you get your raffle tickets out, the winner is 626-414. 626-414. Winner of the 4-pack of tickets. Every time you come down to the show live, you also get a bucket hat as well. And thank you so much, If you want your tickets, go to gocamels.com or call 1-877-GO-HUMPS. Now it is our pleasure to put on the mic Dusty White. He is the new pitching coach for Campbell, and quite frankly, he's been one of the most successful pitching coaches in the entire nation before coming here as pitching coach at Wingate University. Coach White's 2021 Bulldogs won the Division II National Championship. During his time at the school, 7 of his players were drafted or signed pro contracts, including 2 top 14 rounders in 2023. Last year, his pitching staff was in the top 3 in the nation, get this, in not only strikeouts, but strikeout to walk ratio. Quite a resume, Coach White. And first of all, why don't you tell me about your baseball journey? How did it begin, and how did it get you to this place?
That's a very open-ended question. College baseball career started playing at UNC Charlotte. Spent 2 years there. Ended up transferring to Wingate University. Coach Gregory was an assistant coach at that time. At that time, that was years and years before the transfer portal. So if you transfer from Division I to Division I, you had to sit out 365 days. Ended up choosing a Division II university, became a Friday night starter, ended up being one of the best decisions I've ever made. And Coach Gregory, after I graduated, became the head coach a couple years later after dabbling around teaching high school, coaching high school. Obviously, we had kept a pretty good relationship, and he essentially offered me the job back in 2015. And without hesitation, I accepted. We had talked about it in years prior to that. Fast forward 7-8 years later, I'm here today. It was a great experience being with him for that amount of years. He's kind of molded me into some of the coaching aspects I like to preach every single day, and here we are.
Yeah, no doubt. You could tell my wife grew up around that area because I was able to pronounce it Wingate. With that, I know a lot because of her and because of her family about the athletic tradition there. It is Division II, but my goodness, you guys run that. It's a premier athletic department. Tell me about the athletic tradition there, and then what you all built there baseball-wise.
Athletic department-wise, yeah, it's special. I mean, from having 17, I think they have maybe 21 now. Varsity sports. The South Atlantic Conference has what's known as the Eccles Cup, and that, it's like the Division I, Capital One Cup per se, where depending on where you finish in your league, you get X amount of points from top to bottom. And for 17, I believe maybe 18 straight years now, the athletic department's finished first, and compared to all the other schools. So that's pretty special. Obviously, not just being from a baseball standpoint, from softball to football to basketball, everything included. It's they win, and that's a pretty cool culture.
You all won at the highest level. Tell me about winning the national championship, what that took, and your memories of that sensational year.
Yeah, I mean, winning the national championship, I think, regardless of the level, is it's the cream of the crop. I mean, it's the highest peak that any athlete, that any coach wants to get to. And that obviously that came after the COVID year. When the COVID year happened, I think at that point we were like 16-2 when our shutdown had happened. Like Coach Stamp said a little bit earlier, we had a good core amount of those players come back the following year that had their extra year that the NCAA granted them. And when some of those pieces came back, obviously we knew we had a very, very strong team. We didn't get off to the start that we wanted to that year, and the team just kept working. We kept building upon our mistakes, and we have obviously the culture of winning and the foundational pieces that Coach Gregory implements every single day. We just stayed on it, and I mean, we got hot at the right time going into conference tournament. Breezed through it pretty easily. Didn't lose a game in the regional. Lost our first game in the World Series, and it was a little bit of a shell shock because we hadn't lost in almost a month, and just kind of took a step back and realized that even though we didn't play our best game that game one, the team Angelo State that beat us, we knew they weren't any better than us, and we just kind of had to go back to the basics and just play our brand of ball and be successful, or executing offensively and making quality pitches and picking it up and throwing it across the infield when they hit it. Just the basic things we'd done all year, and ended up rifling off 7 straight wins to win it all. So it was an unforgettable experience. It's something that doesn't leave your mind every time you step on a baseball field, and obviously we did it at that level, and I know that's a step forward and what the Campbell program is looking to do as well.
Well, no doubt the championship pedigree, you certainly have the resume. That is home for you, but back there you had been there for a while. So I know why Campbell chose you. Why did you choose Campbell? Why did you want to be a part of this program?
So the recruiting trail is always an interesting place to be. There's long, hot summer days, long trips, time away from your family. But what kind of makes it cool is the connections and the relationships that you build, whether you're going to get lunch with somebody during a rain out, or you're waiting for a game to start at 11 p.m. in Lake Point in Atlanta, Georgia. You meet a lot of people, you talk to a lot of people, and having a little bit of a relationship over the years, just kind of small talk conversations with Coach Hare, but some of the previous assistants, Coach Robinson, Coach Holcomb, Tyler Shoemaker, just getting to know those guys over the years. I think that's what kind of got my name out there a little bit underneath Coach Hare. And it all kind of happened for me late June, early July this past summer. I remember I was working our Wingate's youth camp, which is, for anybody listening, it's long days when you've got 75, 100 toddlers running around, and it's more organized chaos. But it's fun. It's a way for us to make additional money, and it's a good thing to do because it's giving back to the generations to come. So. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and Coach Hare had reached out to me and basically informed me that Coach Robinson was more than likely taking the same position at Liberty University, and wanted to know if this was something I would be interested in. That obviously he would go through a more of a formal interview process. But I said, before I could fully read the entire text message, I was replying yes. So transpire a few weeks later, I was actually at the beach with my family after one of our recruiting trips, and had gone through a couple interviews, like I said, and he called me. I had made sure the condo where we were staying was empty, and accepted the job.
Wow.
Yep.
What have you liked about this program, this culture, since you've got here?
Just the people. Like, I know that everybody says it, but the two guys sitting right here, having them beside me in the office on a daily basis to ask questions about Campbell itself, the university, or if there's something from an offensive perspective that they do that can help me from a pitching side see something different, or just having the resources and the technology and just everything that our program has built the last several years. I mean, it's everything you could ask for.
Tell me about this pitching staff. Of course, you lost some, you gained some. You have some guys coming back from injury. When we think about Campbell starting rotation, and then some guys we'll see from the bullpen, who's gonna stand out?
Well, so everybody's new to me.
That's true.
When I came in, I know there were only a couple of returners that threw significant innings. That one being Jackson Roberts and the other being Jeremy Wigman. So we knew we had added some good pieces coming into the fall, but we all knew there was a certain level of unknown. We didn't know who would kind of emerge as our weekend starters or who would be some, long reliever or back-end type bullpen arms. So it kind of took a couple weeks to play itself out, throughout the fall. But I feel like, the weekend rotation is right now, it's somewhat set in stone. Obviously, roles can change and things like that, but we're more than likely leading towards starting Derek Vartanian on Friday night, Zach Sabers on Saturday, and freshman Cooper Clark on Sunday. We're going to hopefully have all of our available pieces for the 3 games this week, and then the joke around right now is we'll worry about East Carolina on Tuesday when we get to East Carolina. Yeah,
no doubt. It's interesting. I was talking to Coach Stampler about this. With so many new pieces in that, I mean, you guys play so many high-level scrimmages, the competitions are that, but before you get out there against another team, you don't really know what you have. It's an exciting and nervous bit of unknown, isn't it?
It is, especially with it being my first year. There's a lot of unknown. I'll be the first to tell you that I'm overly excited to face someone else from a calling pitches standpoint for the month of October and a little bit of November and the last 4.5 or so weeks of trying to figure out how to get our hitters out is a very, very daunting task. And I'm sure these guys will tell you the same. They're ready to face some different arms. But there are a lot of very, very good pieces we feel like to the puzzle. It's going to be a little bit of trial and error, I think, early on to just kind of figure out. Like I said, a lot of these guys have not proven anything. Just kind of what roles they have success in, what ones they don't have, or what ones they fail in, and just kind of putting them in positions to have success early, and hopefully build upon that week to week, and obviously towards the back end of the year, that's when the fun things can happen.
You brought your wonderful family that I was able to meet tonight. Tell us about the crew that you have, your starting rotation at home.
My wife, Malia, she's back there with our youngest, Yates. He'll turn 2 this upcoming June. And then our oldest one, Nolan, right there, he's kind of in his own world right now, hanging out, looking at his iPad. He is 4, so he's a mess. Actually, both of them are a mess. Just like Coach Stamp said, we're blessed to have the women in our lives that we do that allow us to do what we do. We could not do what we do with the children and all that without those supporters. They're awesome. I thank her all the time. The other coaches' wives are equally as important, and they've become a pretty good family too. Seeing them on the weekends and watching them get to know each other and their wives for welcoming my wife in and our children. It's really been a blessing. Yeah, it's really fun. I think now really if you combine all the coaches' kids, you would have a starting 9 and a couple in the bullpen as well, which is pretty good. So. Yeah, the Hares have 4, Stamps have 2, we have 2. Yeah, Wise has 1. Feeks has 1. Yeah, we've got a starting 9. There you go. But yeah, there's 2 girls, correct? Feeks is in Coach Hares, yes. So yeah, a lot of males, but that's a good thing as well. But the men are definitely outweighing the women right now. That's right. Well, Coach Dusty White, we are so glad you're here. We can't wait to see your arms in action coming up this weekend. Thank you so much for the time, and thank you for coming to Campbell. Awesome. Thank you for having me. All right, that's our new pitching coach, Dusty White. When we come back, we'll talk to a familiar name, a familiar face, now an assistant coach, former Camel, coming up after the break. This is Camel Call Live from the county seat in downtown Millington. Well, welcome back to Camel Call Live from the county seat in downtown Lillington. We are talking baseball, and if you have been surviving this long, cold fall and winter for baseball, well, we got some baseball for you. I think
if my count is correct, it's something like 19 of the first 23 games are at home this year, 17 of 21. It's a lot of Campbell baseball and a lot of fun as well. Campbell, their first 4 games of the season, will take on top 20 teams. UC Santa Barbara coming up this weekend. East Carolina will be a week from tomorrow. And then Ohio comes in February 23rd to the 25th. They'll go on the road. And North Carolina, the Tar Heels, finally decided to figure out where Buies Creek, North Carolina is. They are going to come to us this year, March 5th on Tuesday, as UNC will come here to take on Campbell at JPS. We've got season tickets still available. That'll guarantee you a seat for all of these really good games, ACC teams, and top 25 matchups. GoCamels.com and 1-877-GO-HUMPS. 1-877-GO-HUMPS. When you come out to JPS this year, you will look at a familiar face, a familiar name. Adam Wyse is a 2-time Campbell graduate, of course, a former shortstop for 2 years on this team. He came back as a grad and an assistant coach, and he is back now as an assistant coach. And first of all, Adam, welcome back to a place you have been back to so many times. Talk about your journey from Campbell baseball player to now a Campbell assistant coach.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy how this world kind of works and how things happen. When I first committed to Campbell, I'd never seen campus, never been to Buies Creek. I had never even stepped foot in the state of North Carolina. And I just had the gut feeling that it was the right move for me. And I trusted my gut feeling, and it was the best decision of my life. So committed to Campbell out of JUCO, and then played for 2 years at Campbell and enjoyed every second of it. We weren't quite the team that we are right now, but I really enjoyed every aspect of it. And then after that, I went on to coach at Pfeiffer University with Stamp, who I've spent some time with, both here and at Pfeiffer. And then after that, I went on to Louisiana Lafayette and started to get my master's there, and that's when COVID hit, and things kind of changed there. And then Coach Hare offered me a spot to finish my master's at Campbell, and without any hesitation, I wanted to jump back on board, and was super pumped about that. And then post coaching my first year at Campbell, I decided that it was time for me to grow up a little bit and start to think about my family, and I ended up getting engaged, and me and my wife got married, and it was time for me to be back home. So I spent a couple years back home at Lipscomb coaching there, and then Coach Hare called me over the summer, and I was extremely surprised, actually, a little bit. And then after that, I spoke with my wife, and she was excited. She's an alumni from here. I'm an alumni, 2-time alumni, and this is our dream place to be. There's a reason that we keep coming back to the Creek, and it's because we believe in the school. We believe in Coach Hare. We believe in Campbell Baseball, and we're extremely blessed and thankful for everything that Campbell has done for the both of us. So.
Just an amazing story, and it's interesting. You mentioned it a little bit about it, and I was here during those years too. And so don't worry, we're not saying anything that Coach Hare wouldn't say himself. But you were here in 2016 and 2017. Coach Hare, who had been a part of this program as an assistant, helped build this from nothing, got them to the NCAA tournament. He rightly was handed the keys to it, and he will admit that it took some time for him to find his voice, to really build the program in his old view and in his shadow. What did you notice about the program and about him trying to get his footing those first couple of years when you played for him?
As a player, you notice just the passion. I think that's the first thing that sticks out, is the passion that he has for doing things the right way and winning. And that's something that's easy to get on board with as a player. Quite frankly, I just don't think that we were talented enough. Like when I look at me as a player and how talented I was versus the players that we have now, it's night and day. I wouldn't even I would pass up on myself as if I saw myself on the road because I'm not good enough.
As recruiting coordinator, you would not recruit yourself as a player to come to Campbell.
If I did, I probably wouldn't be here that long. So, but that's I would say the first thing that I noticed was just the entire coaching staff had a passion to win, and they cared about their players and they loved their players, and we weren't afraid to work. We just quite frankly weren't good enough. Like, I was a starting shortstop, and it just wasn't. I wasn't talented enough to help put this place where it needs to be, and that's where they've had success. Is they've just continued to get better and better and better.
You're being awfully hard on yourself. Number one, I saw you play a lot of good games, have a lot of good at bats. But when you did come back the first time, the difference between 2017 and 2021, in addition to the talent, well, what did you notice about the program as you came in right in the middle of this incredible 5-year run?
I would say the biggest difference was just the culture shift. The guys in the clubhouse were dedicated to winning, and that's all that mattered. Was hey, we're here to win. We didn't come to Bowie's Creek, North Carolina, to do anything other than win championships and work to meet our individual and collective team goals. And that was a pretty big difference from when I played. Is that the dudes kind of had a taste of winning and what it felt like and what it felt like to be a champion, and they kind of knew what it took. And honestly, like, I don't know that when I was here as a player that we knew what it took to be a champion. And kind of when they knocked down that door the first time, it's like, oh, that's what it looks like. That's pretty different than how we've been going about it as players. And I think it's a testament to the players and the work that they put in. And I think they really started to understand that growth happens in failure, right? Like me as a player and some of the dudes that I played with, like, we wanted it to feel good, and we weren't necessarily trying to get as much out of our development, and I probably didn't push myself enough, and they probably didn't push themselves enough, and so maybe we didn't knock down the door enough, and then you look up and a couple years later, and it's like everybody's wanting to fail because they know that on the other side of the failure is the growth and the development, and that's where the real work happens. And so I think the dudes just kind of bought into that, and they crave it. They want to get better, and they understand that it's not easy to get better. So,
speaking of growth and development, you've been a part of this program. See guys come in with some talent, maybe raw, and then end up signing a professional contract. You worked with Zach Neto. Again, Neto was a very good player with a lot of contract. He was not projected to be the starting shortstop for the LA Angels when he came into this program. What made him special? What made him different? What did you see from him as he went from pretty good Big South Conference player to MLB player?
Just how he went about his business. He's one of those dudes that craved the failure, right? And it's kind of weird to think about, but he craved the development and he wanted to get better, and he exhausted every avenue to get better. From taking ground balls. I remember that dude taking ground balls and we're like he's taking them at first base. Like, he's not even taking them at short, and we kind of move him around, and we see him just kind of moving around more athletically at short, and he looks like he feels a little more comfortable in his skin, but he wasn't afraid to try anything, and he went after everything with complete dedication, and you pair that level of talent with that work ethic and the willingness to fail, to grow. It's a recipe for success, right? Like, that dude got drafted, and I was like, well, I know that dude's going to have success, and he's going to be playing for a long time, because he knows how to fail. This game isn't easy on you, and he's going to fail, but I know that dude's going to grow, and he's probably going to make the adjustments quicker than most other people because he's kind of been in that situation. And again, it's a guy that has an elite level work ethic with elite level tools, and elite level ability to understand and feel what he's doing. There's no question why that dude's a big leaguer, and I don't doubt one bit that he's going to be there for a really long time.
Well, and speaking of that as well, the Camels that are not only in the pros, but headliners, Cedric Mullins, a MLB All-Star. What made him special?
Again, like a willingness to do things different than everybody else, right? Like you have to be uncommon in the way that you do the common things. I never got to play with Cedric Mullins, but everything that I've heard about him, and I remember him coming back, even while I played, just the way he went about his business. The dude was a switch hitter, and he just said, hey, like, his organization, I guess, recommended that he become a left-handed hitter only, and as he's in the big leagues and back down, and the dude just works, right? Like that's what makes a lot of Campbell baseball players successful, is just their willingness to outwork people, and just be completely dedicated to their craft.
And how much fun is it that not only are these guys, Ryan Thompson, another one of them, you know, Ryan Thompson, a big leader that is now big there for a half decade. We talk about Cedric, we talk about Zach. There are a lot of guys that are on the cusp. I don't think many realize how many guys through this last 5 years or whatever are killing it in AA, killing it in AAA. There are a lot of Camels that are going to make their major league debuts in the next year or 2 or 3 or 4. And a lot of these guys come back in the fall. They love to be around this program. They love to work out here. That's a special, quote-unquote, brotherhood that you guys have made, isn't it?
Yeah. Anytime that you have players that, whether they had success at Campbell or they didn't, anytime that you have players that want to come back, that tells you a lot about your program. Being an alumni and then kind of seeing both sides of it, I still talk with a bunch of dudes that I played with. And there are a bunch of dudes that come back and all they do is follow their guys and how their guys are doing, whether that's in their business life or in their professional baseball careers, or how they're doing as doctors now or lawyers now, right? Like in my group chat, we mess around about Cole Hallam, a guy that we all played with, who's now a broadcaster. We all talk about that, and we keep tabs on that stuff, and it's an incredible thing to be a part of, because you have dudes that you know will always have your back. And so when I show up to the field and I see 7, 8, 9 dudes that are playing professional baseball, just tossing a football around, hanging out with all the dudes that they went to school with and they played with, and it's no different. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, there's first rounder Thomas Harrington. It's, oh, there's Tommy. What's up, Tommy?
Yeah.
How's it going? And then Tommy starts to get to know the freshman, and he's like, well, dude, that freshman's pretty good. That's my like, and they start kind of hanging out because it's a deal that's pretty special. It's inclusive. It's not like, hey, it's just a brotherhood with the team that I played on. If you play baseball at Campbell, you're a part of the brotherhood, and it's not like a year-to-year basis. It's an entire thing, and it's a special bond.
No doubt special, and the next chapter starts, again, like I laid it out. You guys have 4 games against top 20 teams. Of course, UC Santa Barbara coming in. What are your thoughts? What are your excitement level as you get set for this huge challenge with so many unknowns to start the season?
I think first and foremost, I'm excited to play somebody different. You know, we've been scrimmaging for quite a while, and we really hammer home the development side of things in the fall and in the early spring. And part of developing is seeing where you're at, right, and being able to test all the changes maybe that you've made or haven't made, and to see where you're at. So then you can get back to the development side again, and then you can retest it. So I'm excited to just kind of see where we're at and how we stack up. The biggest thing for me is just to see our guys continue to take it day by day and get better every single day, and really hammer home on the details, and really see how our dudes continue to just take it day by day and compete. Like seeing your dudes that have worked every day and compete against the environments that we put them in, and seeing those dudes have fun competing against somebody else, I think is probably what I'm looking forward to most.
And we're looking forward to it as well. And in that group chat, you've got a doctor, a lawyer, some guys playing pro ball, and a Division I assistant coach. That's
right.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is Adam Wyse, a double humper with the 2 degrees here from Campbell. And Coach, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the Creek. We can't wait to see you.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
And the Campbell Camels will be back coming up this weekend as they take on UC Santa Barbara. The season opener, special 5 o'clock time on Friday. Again, Campbell is in town for a bunch of games over this next month. Full schedule. Tickets, gocamels.com. And you can order those tickets at 1-877-GO-HUMS. For the entire baseball assistant coaching staff, I'm Chris Ameyer saying so long from the county seat in downtown Lillington. This has been Camel Call Live.